Hello everyone, Tech1421 here. Welcome to a kind of new series. I've been doing a lot of Pokemon TCG lately. I have a good amount of videos on my channel. What I want to start doing, instead of just straight deck breakdowns, I want to show everyone a particular deck that I am enjoying at the moment, show my list for it, and then I will play a couple of tournaments with that deck and show you the results. So this is the first tournament that I did. I'm going to post commentate the tournament, so it's a post live commentary. I like doing post live commentaries in these opposed to I guess live commentaries, because I can tell you what was kind of going through my head at the time, as well as give some feedback as what I probably should have done in hindsight, etc., stuff like that. And I feel like I could just give a better commentary when I go back and look at the game after it's been played. So this very first video, this very first tournament that we're going to be doing on this channel, and I'll hopefully get to a good amount of these, is going to be this Camerupt deck that I'm really enjoying. And I guess first off we will look at regular old Camerupt, and I guess you have to right click this. Okay, there we go. So Camerupt EX is a 180 HP fire type Pokemon. Of course, it has 4 retreat, which is why we're going to have a good amount of float stones and a good amount of switches in the deck because of that high retreat cost. It's weak to water, which kind of stinks. There's a good amount of water type Pokemon out there. The main one that you'll see is probably Seismitoad EX, and even Seismitoad can't really do that much damage to us, so we don't really have to worry about that too much. So Camerupt is for his first attack. You're not going to use it too often, but it can come in handy occasionally, and that is Tumbling Attack, 30 plus. It's a fire and a colorless, and if you flip a coin, get heads, it does 30 more damage. And occasionally, I mean most of the time, you're going to have a muscle band on there, so you can get up to 80 damage usually if you flip a heads. And you're not going to use that very often. It's not the greatest attack, but where the bread and butter comes is Explosive Jet 50 times, and you have those 2 fire energy and 2 colorless energy, so 4 energy total, and you discard a fire type energy attached to that Pokemon. And does 50 or not attached to that Pokemon, attached to any Pokemon that you have in play, so you can do anything in play. And does 50 times the H fire energy you send to the discard pile. So we play 9 fire energy, I believe, so you can get up to 450 damage. I've done it occasionally, and it's pretty awesome when it happens. I've done it for like final KOs and stuff. So you have such a heavy attacking cost, and we do play 4 of those. So how does this kind of synergize is I guess a question. And very cool Pokemon, Team Magma's Camerupt. We're going to play a 3/3 line. We have the Numel, Team Magma's Numel. Not that great of a Pokemon. 70 HP, which is pretty good for a basic, and then Team Magma's Camerupt, which has 110, and that extra 10 damage does help occasionally because Pokemon likes to have things in groups of 100. A lot of attacks are 100 or 50 based, so it's nice that it has that extra 10 damage, and it might come in handy occasionally. So Burning Draft is why we're using this Pokemon. Once during your turn, you may attach a fighting or fire type energy from your discard pile to this Pokemon, and then we can use Camrupt's attack to discard fire energy from Team Magma's Camerupt. The goal is to get at least 2 of these in play, and then you're doing a good amount of damage, so that's definitely great. We're going to run 2 Mewtwo's in the deck. X-Ball, great attack. Whenever I run DCE, I like to have a couple of Mewtwo's in there. It just comes in handy. We have 1 Battle Compressor. We have Computer Search is our A-Spec of choice. And when the rotation comes, all A-Specs are going away. They're going bye-bye. Very sad to see them go. I started playing the TCG Pokemon game when Boundaries Cross came out, and that was the first set that released these A-Specs, and it's kind of crazy that they're rotating now. All the A-Specs are going to be rotating in a month after I do this video, so kind of crazy. We are going to run 2 energy switch just because we are putting energy onto Camerupt, and sometimes it can come in handy if you can energy switch from the Camerupt onto one of your main attackers. Run 2 switch, 3 Ultra Ball, 4 VS Seeker. I love running 4 VS Seeker in a lot of my decks. We have a heavy support line. We have a 3 Blacksmith because we want to get those fire energy onto our Camerupt, and as fast as we possibly can. 1 Lysander, 4 N, then 4 Juniper, 1 Skyla. I like running Teammate, especially if I have a high Versus Seeker count. Things are going to die in the card game, and not all your Pokemon are going to live. Teammates comes in handy a lot, just because you can teammate for like a DCE, you can teammate, you know, for an extra fire energy, etc. There's a lot of different things you can teammate for and get a one-shot kill, a return kill, if you will. Our next card here is our Stadium, Scorched Earth. Once during each player's turn, you may discard a fire or fighting energy card, and then you draw 2 cards. So we can get some fire energy in the discard pile. Helps us with Blacksmith, helps us with Camerupt, Team Magma's Camerupt, and our tools are going to be Floatstone, 3 of them, 3 Muscle Band. We're going to try to put those on the Camrupts, occasionally put it on Mewtwo, and then the 2, or actually we have 3 DCEs, 3 double colorless, and then 9 fire energy for 12 energy total. And that is the deck in a nutshell. It's an amazing deck. I really love it. It's a very good budget deck. You notice everything in this deck. The most expensive card might be either Computer Search or Mewtwo. When Computer Search rotates, and I think Mewtwo also might be rotating. I could be wrong about that. But you know, you'll find other attackers. Camrupt's never really going to be that expensive. You can easily get the supporter line and stuff like that. So it's a very, very cheap deck to build, and I definitely recommend trying it out. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the first game of the tournament. Alright, so here we go. First round of this 8-player tournament. It's a 3-round tournament. If you win all 3 rounds, you win it all. So that's pretty awesome. So it's an elimination, single elimination tournament. So you have to win to move on, and I believe it costs 6 of those tournament tickets or something like that. And I have plenty. There's back when they were beta testing, I got like 150 or so because they would basically like refund them. It was pretty crazy. So we are going to start with a Mewtwo. You notice my opponent in the loading screen, they had only normal type Pokemon. So I'm assuming it's probably something to do with like Rayquaza, Shaman, and those are like the main Pokemon they have in the deck, the normal Rayquaza. And you see that supporter card, they can get up to 3 different normal type Pokemon. The Skyfield comes into play. They are running Miltank. So, and I do see the Rayquaza EX now, and it's kind of weird. I don't know what they're playing really, but I will be able to counteract their Stadium when it comes my turn. They get 4 Pokemon to play on the first turn, I guess. A full bench of 5, so they have 6 Pokemon in play, including their active. And I am going to go ahead and I guess just knock out this bird up there. I top decked a DCE, which is great. And now we're going to Ultra Ball for probably a Camerupt DX. That's probably what I need. Just get that into play, and then we get the Juniper for a fresh hand. So even though my opponent is playing Shaman, we managed to draw more cards in the first turn than my opponent, and we get the first prize on our very first turn of the game, which is exciting. Now we just need to try to get a lot of energy onto my Camerupt. Unfortunately, I did not get a Blacksmith. If we were to get a Blacksmith, I could have used Scorched Earth, draw some more cards, and then, or I guess, yeah, discard a fire energy, draw some more cards, and then put some energy onto our Camerupt. We do see the DCE go bye-bye. My opponent is going to get 2 straight DCEs both turns onto the Rayquaza, and they're going to hit for 100 damage, and that definitely stinks. I'm probably just going to leave my Mewtwo out to kind of just die. It's probably my best bet at this point, and I'm trying to think of what to do. I have a pretty big hand. I can get another Numble into play, which is great. I might want to Ultra Ball my Stadium, one of my extra Stadiums, and another Ultra Ball in for that Team Magma's Camerupt. Get one of those in play. That'll definitely be handy. And then I have to just think of what's the best action here. Do I want to switch? Do I want to Lysandre or something up to just kind of stall for a turn or 2? I could N. That might be a little helpful. But I think I think I'm going to go for the N. And then I'm just kind of deciding, how do I want to play this? Because I didn't really draw into much here. I definitely want to probably use Burning Draft to get some fire energy onto my Camerupt. And then I can just start attaching to my Camerupt DX. I'm pretty much at this point just kind of let my Mewtwo die. It served its purpose. It got the first KO of the game, and it took a few hits while I'm trying to set up. Sometimes this deck could take a little while to set up, but it is pretty fast, and I do get a lot of really nice setups, and you'd be surprised how many turn 2 Camerupt DX, like mega, explosion jets I get off for KOs on high priority X's to start the game off with a bang, with a boom, I guess, because it's an explosion. But my opponent is going to play this Trainer Mail, and I've seen this a lot recently. A lot of people playing Trainer Mail. I guess it's a decent card. You get to look at the top 4 of your deck and pick one of the supporters you find there. It could be really good. A lot of decks play upwards of 35 trainer cards sometimes, even about anywhere from like 25 to 35 trainer cards sometimes. And I'm not really sure how many I'm playing per se, but there's a high % chance that you are going to find a support, some kind of trainer. And sometimes it can come in handy, that Trainer Mail. So it's kind of like Great Ball in a sense. It has like the same odds of finding like a Pokemon. Then if you're using Great Ball, then something like that. So I use Scorched Earth, and I really am struggling to get a good hand here. What I think I might do is, I think what the best play might be to go ahead and put both Camerupts into play, use my computer search, get both of those, use it on both those Fire Energy. Just get those in the discard pile, and then get like a Juniper or something, get a fresh hand going on, and we can start trying to get something going. I remember this very first game was a pretty long one, if I do remember correctly. We do get the DCE, which is kind of nice. I don't get any energy switch, which would have been really, really cool if I got those. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to Burning Draft here, and I don't think I'm going to attach the DCE. And the reason why I did that is I was thinking at the time, if I can kind of, for one, if my opponent gets the knockout, then the DC is thrown out the window. But if I can manage to, and also if they have a hammer, an enhanced hammer, then that kind of just ruins my plan altogether. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably just going to save the energy attachment, and I'm going to attach it next turn, and then I can Blacksmith, and then I'll have all 4 energy onto my Camerupt DX, and then I can get the knockout from there. I am going to go ahead and discard Numel and Team Magma's Camerupt. I feel like I already have 2 on the bench. It's pretty good. I mean, they have a lot of energy on them so far, so I'm not going to really worry about getting another set into play. Let's just kind of thin my deck out just a little bit and kind of go from there. So we'll see what my opponent does. They can hit me for 100 if they want to. I'm assuming that's probably what they're going to do. They don't have a stage 2 in play yet, so Miltank's still only hitting for 10 damage with that Powerful Friends, I believe is the name of the attack. Very cool card, in my opinion. And something that my opponent did that I was a little curious on was they could have used that Fire Energy on Miltank to Scorched Earth earlier. I think it was like 2 turns ago. Instead, they put the Fire Energy on, and when they could have probably attached a different kind of energy. So right here, my opponent is actually going to manage somehow to get a ridiculous 25% chance of leaving me asleep with the laser. So laser is rotating, and my plan is completely ruined at this point. So what I'm thinking I can do is I can actually, I guess, Versus Seeker for the Skyla, and then switch out of the active, and then go into, I think my Mega Camerupt is probably the best bet at this point. Unfortunately, I don't have a switch in my hand, so I am going to have to Versus Seeker for the Skyla and then get the switch that way. I don't want my Pokemon to just die. That'd be just an unfortunate way to just give up a kill. My opponent would only need 2 more, and that's not, I would be at a huge disadvantage at this point. At least make him work for the KO. So I am going to attach a DCE to a Camerupt on the bench. I'm going to switch into the Team Magma's Camerupt, and then I can actually hit for 60 damage, and make it a little easier on my Camerupt to get the KO next turn. I can also move a fire energy. I'm going to use Flame Bell, I believe is the name of the attack. I move fire energy onto my Camerupt, and we're starting to get set up, which is definitely great. If I do get knocked out, which I probably am going to, I think they only need a muscle band. They're doing 100 damage right now, and that's where that 110 damage, the extra 10 damage, comes in handy. Just like if a Pokemon, an EX Pokemon like Camerupt DX has 180 HP, that extra 10 damage really helps because a lot of things are geared towards only hitting for 170 and then sometimes 100 damage. We did get lasered there, unfortunately, so we did die, which really stinks. I was hoping to put a float stone and retreat the next turn, but we do perish, unfortunately. But at this point, I am ready to start getting some KOs with my Camerupt. They also have an odd amount of prizes left, which is good because now they have to essentially kill an EX Pokemon. And I'm going to try to force them to kill another EX. I'm going to force them to only kill EX Pokemon at this point so that they don't take a bunch of prizes at once. Hopefully that makes sense. We are going to use Explosive Jet, though. I'm not going to put the Float Stone on any of my Pokemon just yet, just in case. You never know when you might need it. And if you don't necessarily need to put the Float Stone on, then kind of a rule of thumb, just kind of leave it there in your hand. Especially, I only have 16 cards left in my deck. From our 2 prize cards, we managed to get 2 energy switches, so those are hiding in our prize cards, and that actually might come in handy this very next turn. If I go ahead and use Camerupt, I can go ahead and energy switch onto something else. He is going to put another Rayquaza EX into play. I don't think they can use their attack to their secondary attack to do 100, so I'm not really sure what the first attack is. I guess they did do the attack. It might only cost 3 energy. I might have been mistaken. So we are going to get another knockout here, which is fantastic because we have a ton of energy onto my Camerupt. So my Camerupt DX and my other Pokemon. And then I'm also going to just energy switch onto this new one here. And then I'm going to, I think, Juniper. Is that the plan? I'm a Juniper, and I do get the DCE, which is fantastic. And now I have a fresh Camerupt DX ready to use Explosive Jet. And we're going to discard all of the energy we have in play. We do have a Blacksmith for next turn, so we don't really have to worry about it too much. And we do 200 damage, and now that really eliminates my opponent's energy from the board. I think their only Pokemon that really had energy was Miltank, and they don't even have a Stage 2 in play yet. So they are going to concede the battle, and that ends part 1 of this video, and we will see round number 2 in the next video, the next part. In the mystery little gift that we got, I believe I got 50 extra coins, which is definitely great. So I will see everyone for part number 2. Hopefully you enjoyed part number 1, and yeah, moving on to the next round. Peace.